Well, Saturdays are mostly the most craziest time during the weekend. However, as you know, I was unable to do this episode that was supposed to have been uploaded earlier in the day, but however, I decided to make up for it and add two new reviews here. We're going to go from ChocoPro 345. As you know, the holiday season's coming up for them, but we had an interesting matches took place in ChocoPro. Then we move on with day two of New Japan Pro Wrestling's Road to Tokyo Dome, which is the final show of the year with New Japan Pro Wrestling before we head to Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. Then we move on with more of NXT Level Up. We're going to see who levels up on this particular night. And then, of course, we have the two AEW shows, Rampage and Collision. So we're going to see, of course, Rampage, some interesting matches. But however, in Collision, we also conclude who will go to the finals in the Blue League of the Continental Classic. The trio titles are on the line, and several other matches also take place. Then we move on with our final thing, which is the news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that either been signed or departing from their promotions, and of course other developments that have been going on in the world of pro wrestling as well. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews, not only from promotions here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to get our hands on. And also, if I'm unable to put any news updates that I've been unable to put on this episode, I could put on a separate video for itself. And we do other cool stuff as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews from this channel and also other cool stuff. But if you like this episode, please give us a like button or give us a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin, of course, with our very first review. This is from ChocoPro. This is number 345, and this just took place recently on the 16th of December. Just been recently uploaded here in the States on Friday, and it should be already on a Saturday over there in Japan. Now, of course, Chico Shikawa opened up the show to give a lowdown to the fans, what's going on, of course, the matches and all that, even though I don't understand what she's saying in Japanese, but she always gets the job done. Now, our first match is a very interesting tag match. We have Masahiro Takanashi teaming up with a member of the Uma Army, Kojio, and they take on Hagane Shono and Antonio Honda. Now, in the past, we've seen Masa and Antonio always team up, but now they're on the opposite sides. However, you can tell in this match that Kojio, who's a big monster, would definitely use that advantage to pick up the win. But however, there was a moment where the ref did not see this. Hagame used the guitar on Kojio for Antonio Honda to pick up a win when he applied, I believe it was a roll-up. 1, 2, 3, it was over. I'm sure Kojio is not happy with how this turns out, but he'll get his revenge at some point. Now, next up, we have a very interested singles competition. We have Master versus Student. We have Nonoka Seto taking on her mentor, Mei Shiru. Now, keep in mind, folks, Mei was also held responsible for training Mia Yatsuba, Nonoka Seto's sister. Now, I know some of you don't know this. They are both Mia and Nonoka are sisters. They have separate names, but however, this is a perfect test to see how Nonoka had learned from the beginning. Now, keep in mind, she has this aggressive side that she always throw in, almost similar as May, but the only difference is this was on exhibitions match. Now this is on a singles competition. So you would have assumed that Nonoka would have had some advantage at some point. But however, Mei Sugar knows exactly what kind of strength she does. So she was able to put her in a submission move, forcing her to tap. Now our next match is a very interesting tag match. We have Balinaki taking on Emi Sakura W. Now, if you guys don't know, this is a how do I say, someone who's cosplaying Emi Sakura. I know in the past Antonio Honda was the one behind it, but it wasn't Antonio. I don't even know who's behind it. But the match was going well as well. But unfortunately, Masahiro Takanashi decided to get involved, but Mei Suga decided not to let her bro to get cheated on. But luckily, it was Balanaki with the diving body press onto Emi Sakura W to pick up the win. So, better luck next time, Enemy Sakura W. Now, we move on to the Janken tournament. Now, I can tell you this, that one of the best bros walked away to the next finals, and that person was Meishuga. Sayuri made her interesting return. Koju normally doesn't participate in the Janken tournament, but somehow was able to proceed. And I wasn't too sure, and all of a sudden, it was Sayuri who made it all the way to the finals, taking on Mei Suruga. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear about Sayuri. I can tell you this: she won the Jonkin tournament, defeating Mei Suruga. But however, unfortunately, Sayuri will be graduating and retiring for pro wrestling due to an unable to recover from her injury that she obtained earlier this year. But she decided to help out regardless. Of course, she loves pro wrestling and she's continued to be a great supporter to the promotion. And I think that's a good thing out of her. I mean, she is not one of my favorite wrestlers, but I can see that she has grown so much. She is amongst a couple of the wrestlers who, in fact, how do I say this? Were part of the fourth generation girls that were trained by Emi Sakura. And I'm sure Emi Sakura is saddened that she is going to be graduating and also retiring. I mean, sometimes things like that happen. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, during the post show, they announced for an upcoming show for Got to Move, and that is going to take place in Shinjuku Face on the 10th of January, and three matches have been announced. The first one, we have CDK, Chris Brooks, Masahiro Takanashi. They take on Munetatsu um, um, Nakamura and Jaya Hawks. Previously, we've seen him involved in ChocoPro before and Got to Move. Then the next match, we have a bit of a rematch between these two, Mei Shuga versus Miya Amasaki from Stardom, which is going to be interesting. And then finally, Balanaki takes on the veteran Masato Tanaka. So that's going to be a fun match to watch. So there will be another ChocoPro show. It will be taking place soon. Uh, well, we'll find out when that happened. I can't wait to see that one. But I think for now we'll just stick to what we have with ChocoPro and move on to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Hey, New Japan Pro Wrestling Day 2, Road to Tokyo Dome. As you know, we're not that far off from the Tokyo Dome. A lot of previews before we head to the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. So we'll see what takes place and then we'll go from there. Our first match, we have a very interesting match. We have new young lions that make their debuts with the veteran wrestlers. Our first match is a tag match. We have the young lion Katsuya Murashima. He teams up with Satoshi Kojima. And then they take on Shoma Kato. He teams up with Togi Makabe. Now, the X factor in this match, you probably would think about, okay, one of the young lions will definitely have to be the one to pick up the loss by a veteran. That's always been common knowledge in these type of matches. However, in this case, it was Murashima who actually suffered the fate of the Boston Crab by none other than Toki Makabe, while Shoma Kato was dealing with Kashima outside the ring, and it was over from there. So, not bad for a couple of debuts, but however, they will grow and extend sensei. Some of you may ask, why are these new young lions just appearing now? Well, as you know, we just recently saw the young blood, consistent of Oscar Lobe and Yuto Nakashima, are that are that reason. So we'll go along from that. Our next match, we have Mask Bolton and Mask Horse take on Yo and Toro Yano from Chaos. Now, if you guys remember, the previous day, Yano lost to both these guys in a tag match where he teamed up with Tiger Mask. But unfortunately, that did not go so well. Now, you probably would think, okay, will Lightning Strikes again for Bolton and Horse? Well, that's the obvious thing. But however, somehow Yo applied the Kato clutch onto um on Mask Horse to pick up the win, and of course Horse was in disbelief that that happened, but it happened. So I don't know what happened from there on. Now our next match is a very interesting singles match. Kalnam Numnim taking on Tomohiro Ishii. Now this match was set upon. If you guys remember the previous day, we did see Tomohiro Ishii along with his tag team partners and his of course Tanahashi and Okada. They defeated the members of the United Empire, Cobb, Hinare, and Khan. However, Newman is stepping into his own game right now, facing against one of the most toughest competitors in New Japan. Someone who he's not afraid to fight, he's not afraid to give up or to throw whatever blow he has you. Cal Newman will stand everything that, of course, Ishii has thrown. But was it enough? Nope. Apparently, it took many times over for Ishii to apply the vertical brainbuster. One, two, three, it was over. And of course, Newman in the end had a good standing ovation by the fans, knowing he did his best. But hopefully one day he will get that win against Ishii or with someone who is about the similar trait as him. Now, as you know, Ishii is coming in and walking in all the way to January 2nd, where he face off Masa Kitamiya. So keep in mind, put that on your calendars. Next match, we have the Young Bloods, consistent of Oscar Lobe and Yuto Nakashima. They take on the current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champions Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. Now, we have seen Nakajima and Lobe. They were able to coexist great inside and outside the ring. However, will how do I say, their cohesiveness be enough to defeat Bishiman? Well, no, it did not. However, they did have some good cohesive, but however, it wasn't enough to defeat the veterancy that both Bishiman has. And it took only a Shoto to put away Nakashima, and then pinned by Yoshihashi 1, 2, 3. However, this is a good motivation for both Bishiman, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto walking into January 4th. Well, they'll put their tag titles on the line against GOD, and of course, they will put their New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team titles on the line. So, can't wait to see that. Our next match is another tag team match, but however, no one expected this was going to happen again. Master Wato once again teams up with Desperado. They take on LIJ. Now, you probably ask yourselves, what's so important about this? Now, keep in mind, Despy will face Hiromu in Wrestle Kingdom as well. However, it was as you know, Despy did teamed up with Wato. They had a very successful tournament, but however, they did not make it all the way to the end. But it was crazy that they actually teamed up once again. But however, it was um, Master Wato with a wrist lock jackknife onto Bushi to pick up the win. So, however, even though Despy did not pick up the win, but at least it gives a message to Bu- uh, for Despy, and hopefully that they get the walkout as the winners. Walk out as winner for the title, but we'll see what happens until then. Next up is a coffin tag match. Now, this was a match that was suggested by TJP. Now, you people are often saying that TJP made the biggest mistake by killing this out. Now, the only reason TJP wanted this match is because he was sick and tired of the War Dogs once again saying Catch 22 is dead, but they're saying they're still standing. But the real question is, will this is the real question? Is this will affect, of course, Tattoo 2 for the opportunity for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles? Well, the obvious question, it probably will because they're requesting it. Don't forget, they are the winners of the Super Junior Tag League, and that was the problem. But however, of course, there was going to be some dirty tricks. Of course, there was going to be some different cohesiveness, aggressiveness. But however, they were able to choke Akira in on the corner side of the ring. But however, it was Maloney who pushed TJP in the coffin, giving the War Dogs to win. So the obvious thing is this now the fate of Cash 2? Will they officially lose against the War Dogs? As the War Dogs have been making their statement very clear, is Cash 2 dead? Well, it seems like they're not in a good way. Now, keep in mind, Cash 2 has been unable to defeat the War Dogs, but anything could change from here on out. So we'll see what happens until we get to Wrestle Kingdom 18. Now, our next match, we have, of course, TMDK, Kosei Fujita, and um, Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada. I thought this match was pretty great. However, this is a preview match before Zack Sabre Jr. defends his IWGP World Television title against Tanahashi. So this is one of those matches where, of course, there's going to be some interesting moments. However, Okada was able to pick up the win by applying a very technical style where he put a modified neck lock onto Kosei Fujita, a direct message to his opponent at Wrestle Kingdom, and that opponent is none other than Bryan Danielson. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting development. We have LIJ consistent of Yota Tsuji, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito taking on just 5 guys. Yuya Uemura, Taichi, and Sanada. Now, keep in mind, Sanada is the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. He defends his belt against his former teammate and leader of LIJ, Tetsuya Naito. But however, there is a good implication in this match. If you guys know Yota Tsuji, who is a member of LIJ, and of course Yuya Uemura from Just 5 Guys, they both were in the same class, but they went on different excursions. Yuya Uemura ended up coming to the States to study under Katsuyori Shibata, and of course, there's that. Um, However, the match was great, but the one thing that was very impressive is Uemura picking up the one win he needed against Yota Tsuji. He was lying in wait for the Gene Blaster, and he actually put him in a roll up cradle and picked up the win. However, this puts it now where Tsuji and Uemura will have to meet at some point. So Uemura suggested, let's make this in Wrestle Kingdom. The answer to that is hell yes. However, Naito, as you know, who's trying to get on the nerves and no one needs to hear his comments, but of course not saying, get off my ring. So basically showing them that you lost this match, so you don't need to say anything. So there's that. But Sanada has been avoiding the obvious question about his upcoming match at Wrestle Kingdom, so he decided to divert the attention that on the 24th of December is Doki's birthday. And here's an interesting part. Doki and I share the same birthday. I was born on December 24th as well. So, but we'll see what happens when we get to Wrestle Kingdom. Will Naito finally win the belt and do the one thing that he has longed for, make the biggest roll call at Wrestle Kingdom, or will Sanada reign supreme? We will see until that day. But for now, let's move on to our next review, and I believe that is NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on this latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. It opened up with Axiom taking on Damon Kemp. Now, this is a very unique style of wrestlers from different backgrounds. Damon Kemp, who is a very technical savvy, as you know, and of course Axiom, who has a bit of a high flyer but has some good technique as well. So that will be a difficult, but it took only the golden ratio for him to put away Damon Kemp to pick up a very good, impressive win. So yeah, but I was surprised that not even his buddies um, uh, forgot their bootleg catch point. They not even showed up. But yes, now our next we have a very interesting interview with Sarah, who is new into the whole thing. Interviews Big Body Javi, or as we know him, Javier Bernal, saying that he has something in store for Christmas for everybody. However, the Javi thing is, he decided to get in the face of Mr. Stone, and Mr. Stone kind of told him that he's going to be feel sorry when his Christmas is ruined. And you'll see why. Now, our next match we have Roxanne Perez versus Brinley Reese. Now, as you know, Roxanne Perez has been in a not in a bit of a turmoil, but more like, as you know, she hasn't been having good success because the last time she got screwed out of the Iron Survival Challenge, thanks to Kiana James and, of course, Izzy Dame and all this other stuff. So she picked up a good win when she applied the pop rocks onto Brinley, giving her a good win. Now, our next match, we have Javier Bernal, who decided to go throw in a little Christmas thing. However, he was visited by Santa von Wagner. That's right, he dressed up as Santa, put his little belly. Of course, Mr. Stone with the hat. I thought it was really fun. However, Big Body Javi suffered the fate when he got power bombed. That's right, he had a very terrible Christmas, so that means he is lost. I thought it was a pretty good show, especially the main event. I enjoyed that the most. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for NXT Level Up. I believe it's time for AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Rampage. It opened up with the International Championship defended. Orange Cassidy defended against Rocky Romero. Now, keep in mind, this happened in this past Wednesday on Dynamite, where, of course, Rocky Romero was saying that he was looking for gold. Chris OC decided to, put him on the whole thing. Rocky looked dumbfounded. But however, of course, there was no holdbacks. No one was holding any punches one way or the other, but it did help out in this match completely. However, you probably would have assumed that Rocky, who is known as the king of sneaky style, would found a way to out outdo Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy. So there were moments we did see multiple orange punches, but excuse me, but it had no effect one way or the other with him. Um, But, however, it was the beach break that sealed the deal for Orange Cassidy to retain the belt, and then of course you got to give the people what they want, a big hug. So that's what happened. Now, um, Tony Schiavone does an interview with Chris Statlander, as you know, knowing that things didn't start out great at the street fight match with Willard Nightingale, so but they got the job done. But all of a sudden, that creep Stokely Hathaway decided to stir the pot by saying that Willow Nightingale said certain things behind her back. Now, of course, Stokely is the kind who likes to say things like that in order to stir the pot. Of course, Statlander doesn't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, so we'll see where that plays. Now, Brian Cage decided to send a direct message saying that, he will deal with Keith Lee. Now, keep in mind, Keith Lee hasn't forgotten what happened with him with Swerve Strickland, but right now, Prince Nana devised a plan to ensure that nothing goes wrong for Swerve Strickland. As you know, Swerve has been trying to get to the top, but he sends, of course, Brian Cage to deal with him. Our next match, we have the Hardys taking on the Kingdom. Now, of course, there was a very interesting moment where, of course, Jeff Hardy lost control of himself, and he took off his boot to deal with Bennett. But however, Matt Hardy was the one who ended up in the wrong side of the schoolboy by Matt Taven to pick up the win. So this was a very, very disappointing loss for the Hardys. Now, Renee Paquette does a interview with Ruby Soho, even though, as you know, Ruby is not involved in the upcoming women's title match, but she was cheered by Cool Hands Ange. But Saraya decided to play the Grinch here, or Scrooge, however you want to call it, to get up involved in this. Now, our next match is Sky Blue versus Queen Aminata. So that was a very interesting match. Now, keep in mind, Sky Blue is now currently in league with Julia Hart. I think this is going to be like a bit of a warm up before the tag match on Collision. But unfortunately, Queen Aminata suffered the Dragon Sleeper, and it was over right from there the moment it happened. Now, our main event is the the AAA Mega Championship, Hijo de Vikingo versus Black Taurus. What a crazy match. A lot of high spots. You probably wouldn't expect a whole lot. I mean, of course, Vikingo is the kind of guy who takes things to the limits. He actually pulled off the 630 to pick up the win to retain the belt. So I was very impressed by the whole thing. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW Rampage. Let's move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. As I said before, we're now ending the conclusion of the Blue League. So who will walk out in the finals? So we'll see about that. Now, our first match is, of course, part of the Blue League in the Continental Classic. We have Bryan Danielson versus Claudio Castagnoli. Now, these two members are part of the BCC. So you can say that there was no holding punches whatsoever. They actually went all out. You probably would have presumed that someone was going to walk out as the winner. That was practically obvious from the very, very beginning. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw once the 20 minutes are up. So that means each competitor gets 1 point each. However, the math was calculated. It was later revealed that Bryan Danielson advances to the finals. So he's in. Our next match is the AEW World Trios Championship. The Acclaim and Daddy Ass defends him against Top Flight and Action Andretti. Now you can say, what a match. It was fantastic. I think I look at Top Flight and Action Andretti as one of the potentials to hopefully win the Trios titles. They've been on a tear since they've been forming together as a much cohesive and stable Trios team. But unfortunately, they had to face against a team that everybody loves, the Acclaim and all this. However, of course, there was a moment where Top Flight and Action Andretti ruined the plans when they were about to do Scissor Beat Timbers. But however, it was Max Caster with a roll up on Action Andretti that helped them retain the belts. So they actually retained them. Now, as you know, there's been tensions between Hook and Wheeler Yuta. Now, Wheeler Yuta is now gunning for the FTW Championship. So Hook decided, I'm going to give you a title shot at World's End. So that match has not been officially, but I'm sure it will be interesting. Our next match, we have Brian Cage versus Keith Lee. I knew this match was going to be great because you have two great strong athletes, but also with a bit of agileness that you probably wouldn't expect for men of their size. That's always been helpful. But however, it was Keith Lee with a jackhammer that sealed the deal for him to win the match. However, during the post match, he sends a message straight to Swerve Strickland. As you know, he has unfinished business with him. He said about a year ago, He put a cinder block onto him that put him out for 2 months ago. Swerve is currently trying to avoid him because he is currently focused on the match itself for the Continental Classic, but he said that he's going to pay a visit on that day. This could cause a problem for Swerve, but we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, during an interview with Toni Storm, as you know, she is going to face Rio, but recently she's been ignoring Mariah May, acting like she didn't know her. Now, Mariah May has been a big fan of Toni Storm, but apparently that Toni Storm is kind of like, there's a lot of people I meet, that sort of thing. So that kind of goes out in its own way. I wouldn't be surprised if Mariah May turns her back on Toni Storm, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, we saw the so-called patriarch show up with Nick Wayne, and then of course Shayna Wayne, Nick's mom, explained her situation. She did what any mother would do, get retribution for what Adam Copeland did. And of course, Christian decides to insult every single mother and all that, and he believes that at World's End, that he'll put Adam Copeland out of his misery once and for all. But I have a feeling that something's about to happen at World's End, so we'll see where it takes that place. Now, Billy Starks and Big Bill and of course Ricky Starks went out of the way, as you know, that Kenny Omega is out of action for indefinitely due to this thing, I forgot what they call it, and they decided to declare themselves as saying that Kenny Omega is scared of them. First of all, Kenny is not afraid. Jericho even made that perfectly clear, but he already signed a contract, so he will find a partner. However, should Ricky Starks and Big Bill should be concerned, I would say yes, but the obvious question is if how do I say, if Kenny Omega is unable to compete, who will Chris Jericho pick? I wouldn't be surprised if it's either Kota Ibushi or Paul White. One of the two. We'll see. So that's going to be interesting to see. We'll find out. Now, as we continue the Continental Classic in the Blue League, we have Brody King taking on Daniel Garcia. Now, keep in mind, Garcia is automatically out of the tournament, but here's a ramification. If Brody King wins this match, he automatically advances to the finals. But if somehow he ends up in a draw, that means that, of course, there'll be a slight chance, but we'll see. But I have to say, Daniel Garcia took a bit of a pounding and beat down from Brody King, and it was very impressive. But however, somehow Daniel Garcia was able to apply a jackknife to give his first 3 wins. But however, this cost the opportunity for Brody King to advance. However, lights turned off, the House of Black showed up. Even Daddy Magic, who was in fact in commentary, did not like what was going on. However, FTR, as you know, could not stand by and see what they're doing. But there was a moment where King snapped the wrist of Daniel Garcia as payback and retribution for the loss. However, FTR decided they want this thing between them to end at World's End. Now, our next match, we have Sky Blue and Julia Hart taking on Abaddon, and the official return of Thunder Rosa. I have to say, Abaddon and Thunder Rosa were able to coexist very well, even though it was very different. But we have seen now Julia Hart and Sky Blue were able to coexist even good. However, it was Thunder Rosa with the Tijuana bomb onto Sky Blue to pick up the win. So, we'll see what happens until then. Now, our main event, we have the Continental Classic. The main event featuring Eddie Kingston and Andrade. This is a must-win situation. So basically, if Andrade wins, he automatically proceeds to the finals with 9 points. But however, if Eddie Kingston wins, he actually ties with Andrade, but because of this loss, he automatically goes to the finals. So that's how it plays out. It's a bit tricky, but it's almost similar to what happens in New Japan or any other promotion in Japan with their type. However, this was a hard-hitting match. I was so impressed. Eddie Kingston refused to give up until he finally applied the Northern Lights bomb. putting away Andrade, and that makes him that he goes to the finals. However, Brian Brian Danielson confronts him with a smile. Brian Danielson is looking at him, saying that he's confident that he will walk out as the winner in the Blue League and advance to the finals to face the winner of the Gold League. So that is something we will see down the line. I think that's pretty much it with AEW Collision. I believe it's time for some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So this is what we have. Now, let's talk about the promotions on what events they're throwing out and who's booked and what matches are in fact set. For the GCW, we have something very interesting. On December 24th, since today is the 23rd, GCW will have the annual GCW versus Zona 23, which is a promotion based out of Mexico, and it's going to be at the Junkyard. Basically, they have their matches in the Junkyard. Nick Gage and Brett Lardler will serve as commentators, so I have to say that's going to be fun. For the Look at Me show on the 26th of January in 2024 in Tampa, AJ Francis, who made his debut recently in GCW, takes on Joey Janela. Then, of course, for the Feel No Ways show in Phoenix, they'll be their debut on the 4th of February. We have Nick Gage, Matt Cardona, and Alex Hammerstone making their appearance. West Coast Pro for their Ill Matter show on the 27th of January. We have Titus Alexander, who returns from Japan. He takes on against Marvelous male wrestler Leo Isaka. So that's going to be a real interesting thing. Wrestling Revolver has announced for the Water show on the 17th of February. Aris makes his debut, and of course, Mike Bailey makes his return to the promotion. Now, for our signed wrestlers, it was announced by PW Insider that Maddie Rakowski, who's a former NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion and also in Mission Pro, is currently signed with WWE into NXT. Now, we know that she has tried out before. It's interesting that that happened now. I'm sure many of the fans will be happy. Of course, we've seen Maddie on countless times at AEW. But we'll see how things will roll for her. I'm sure she'll be in the Performance Center for a while until we see her on NXT Level Up and then the actual NXT. All right, let's move on. What's been going on in other developments in pro wrestling? As you know, Guilia from Stardom, there's been a lot of keen interest in her. Apparently, it was revealed by Wrestling Observer that AEW has never made any serious indications that they want to sign Guilia. So basically, she is not on their radar. But however, it seems like WWE still has some interest in her, or is the possibility will she remain in Japan? We don't know. Guilia hasn't made her decision yet, and the last time this was reported, so we'll find out. Satnam Singh had this to say. Now, he has thought about having an AEW show in his native country of India. We know that India has some good wrestling. WWE did some shows there. Great Khali also has his own promotion down there. So let me pull up what he had to say. This is what he had to say. I have signed with AEW now. I've stayed with them always, every week, travel, and we have matches also. We're planning to bring AEW to India and expose it here so the people in this country know what it is. This is important, Satnam Singh explained. The youth should know something can be done in wrestling too. Children needs to find out analyze your health and power and see what you can do. It is not important that you need to do sports, study, become a businessman. Very important. So basically, Satnam Singh wants to show what AEW is all about in India. And we know that pro wrestling exists in India, but I don't think it's that popular. That's why I keep saying when I start at the beginning, after the intro, when I say that pro wrestling is not as big, but it's continued to grow for wherever country. And India is one of those countries I do believe is that. Moving on. As you guys know, there's been a lot of talk about the CM Punk and AEW situation. Now, people have been asking questions to Tony Khan about what happened in that backstage incident in All Out. CM Punk's attorney, I believe his name is Stephen P. New, revealed that there was a non-negotiable agreement, meaning that this cannot be talked about in the future. So even if people ask about it, let's say in 10 years, they still won't talk about it. So basically, this is kept on the wraps. However, one person is now subject into this agreement, and that is Lucy, who is the wife of Ace Steel, who was present at the incident. So basically, I don't know if she's capable of opening her mouth about what happened. That's the thing. We don't know. But we'll see. Now, in a much recent event in CMLL, we did see Charlotte Flair, who was present at the time, who's out for indefinitely because, as you know, she got injured. She went to CML to support her husband, Andre Idolo, and there's a picture where they actually made out. So that's very interesting to hear. So I'm looking forward to that. Uh, Fightful Select reports Dana Massey, who is in fact the wife of Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks, who served as the chief marketing and merchandise, has announced that she is poised to leave AEW. As you know, she's served as her role as that from day one. There was clips you can see that being the elite, but this is a significant blow for AEW losing someone like her. I mean, she has been in charge in merchandise of her husband Matt and of course her brother-in-law Nick. If you guys remember, the Young Bucks used to have their own store with a lot of things. According to what Matt Jackson said in the past, Dana was in fact the heart and soul of the whole merchandise thing, and I think she played a good constant role in serving as that in AEW, and this is a big significant loss for her. But she hasn't said the reasons why. Will she continue it? I don't know, but we'll see. Now, Wrestling Revolver has announced on their Twitter page that there's going to be a 2023 year-end award. So there's been named the kind of categories for the 2023 awards. We have Match of the Year, Male Wrestler of the Year, Female Wrestler of the Year, Tag Team Wrestler of the Year, Moment of the Year, Show, uh, and I think that's pretty much it. But however, these votes end by December 31st. However, I will put the whole thing on the survey of the votes on a description down below, so you can click on the link. So I'll put uh, mm, Wrestling Revolver um, the 2023 year end awards, and you click that link. So you do there if you're fans of this show. Now, a very interesting development has happened recently. The president of All Japan Pro Wrestling got a call from someone said that they're sending someone from NXT to take on the current Triple Crown champion, and that is none other than Katsuhiko Nakajima, our current champion. However, the person who is set to challenge him for the Triple Crown championship is Drew Gulak. So he will fly out. And I did say this to one of my closest friends. Nakajima is going to devour him. Now, people have recently talked about a perfect open forbidden door. That this is good business for AEW. But we'll talk about that. I decided I'm going to do a discussion video next on this one, on this subject. So we will see where that leads us. But I think that's it pretty now what we have. So I think it's time to call it a day. Okay. As you know, I haven't decided what's going to happen now. I know there's several shows I haven't seen. I haven't seen the recent GCW shows or the recent Deadlock Pro Wrestling shows. A few others. However, I'll figure that one out, what I'm going to do. But first things first, as you all know, or should know, I mentioned this before. Today is the 23rd of December, and tomorrow is the 24th. By the time this video is out, you should be already known. Uh, it's my birthday. Yes, I was born on December 24th. I'm a Christmas baby. So, if you guys want to leave me a happy birthday comment down below, I'm really grateful for you guys for that. You know, um, I'll probably explain more about this channel before the end of the year. But, um, but yes. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.